this morning to talk a bit more about that trip. Good morning to you, Council Member Barron.
Good morning, and thanks for having me. Certainly appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, this is what's interesting. We were talking about this yesterday when we heard about the news conference, is that we often see New York City officials who very often go to Israel to support the political and military actions there. So I wonder if you could first of all talk about the significance for a member of the New York City government to be a part of this convoy to Gaza.
Well, we definitely need to have more diversity of support in the Middle East, and the Palestinians usually get zero support out of the New York City Council, or for that matter, by any New York State official or city official. Right. And I just felt for a long time, since I've been in the City Council, I had offered a resolution, which is really a compromise of what my politics really is. I had offered a resolution when I first got in that there should be an even-handed policy in the Middle East, that there should be a Palestinian state, people recognize the state of Israel, and that there shouldn't be any killing of innocent Palestinian civilians or innocent Israeli civilians, and not a military solution, but a negotiated solution. And I was called anti-Semitic for a resolution like that. And I remember then Speaker Gifford Miller, they had two or three other pro-Israel resolutions, and they just basically got rid of mine and combined the other three other pro-Israel resolutions and passed that. And I said then that I'm not going to support another pro-Israel resolution in the City Council until there is a Palestinian resolution that supports the Palestinian cause. So I really think that it's apropos about this time that this offer came to me by my comrade in politics from London, George Galloway, came and said that, that he was doing this convoy and would love for me to come. I think Cynthia McKinney, the former congresswoman from Georgia, will also be there.
And this is not her first trip. You know, we heard about what happened with Cynthia McKinney when she took, she was trying to help with aid to the Palestinian people, and what happened where their convoy actually got caught. And they had a journalist on board who was trying to report that to CNN, who simply refused to report what was actually happening on the ground, which would have been live breaking news, which speaks to the manner in which Israel and Palestine is reported. Now, I wonder this, though, Councilmember Barron, and that is Benjamin Netanyahu has just recently, in a speech, for the first time, recognized in a very limited way the significance of a Palestinian state. And I wonder about there being at the beginnings of a shift. We heard President Barack Obama, when he made his trip to the Middle East and North Africa, talk about the significance, first of all, acknowledging the suffering of the Palestinian people, and that part of resolution is about a two-state reality. Do you think we're beginning to see a shift in the nature of the conversation in the mainstream around this issue, so that the demonization that happened to you will seem less of a reality as we move further down the line?
Well, I don't see a major shift. I see that's a step in a direction that one needs to go in, but Netanyahu is talking about a Palestinian state with no military. He's talking about a Palestinian state where the refugees cannot return back to their homes. He's talking about a Palestinian state that, doesn't even have, all of the rights that is needed for a state, and said that Jerusalem should belong totally to Israel when they was talking about East Jerusalem for the Palestinians, West Jerusalem for the Israelis. So, in fact, that kind of conversation is probably not going to get off the ground, go anywhere with the Palestinians, but that's up to them. This trip is mainly about humanitarian aid, but people don't realize that we're on a trip to save humanity. And as an African here in America, I know what, and we know what suffering is. We know what it is to not be able to have access to medical treatment. We know what it is not to have access to food and homes and clothing. And that's what's happening in Gaza. Yes. It's almost like it's a death camp. Every day people are dying. And 1,000 died in the massacre that the world should have condemned. But yet we can sit here and eat our 3 square meals every day and not realize that, wow, Palestinian people are being denied access. Even United Nations and international agencies that are trying to get food, fundamental things to the Palestinians, are being blocked by the Israeli government. So this is a humanitarian trip more than anything else.
Right.
The politics in the Middle East are crazy. It's all over the place. But the Palestinian people have been victims for quite some time, and people are afraid of the powerful Jewish lobby, afraid to stand up. Any criticism, no matter how legitimate it is, of the Israeli government, not the Israeli people, because there are some people in Israel, some Israelis that don't support what their government is doing to the Palestinian people. So we just have to be courageous and bold enough to say that we're men, we're women of conscience, and we have our politics and political positions, but more than anything else, we should be humanitarians, and that's what this trip is all about.
And so then we know from doing these regular reports on Wake Up Call that we regularly key into Amjad Shawar, who is Palestinian on the ground, who runs a range of NGO organizations, who regularly brings us the kind of updates that talk about just the real deal of what is on the ground and what